start telling us about engagement on the 13th inch of the plate.
Well, before we go into that, I wanted to continue with the engagement, and then I'll kind of go into that. But like, engagement is actually something that's scouted. So like, if guys want to
Talking about
worry
professional scouts.
I mean, even
MLB
college
scouts.
scouts, I would imagine, are, now I've personally heard it with my own ears from professional scouts. Like, coached a high profile player before, and, the scouts will talk to us.
You've coached more than one. Okay.
and they, they'll be kind of tell us what the feel is, what they're hearing and stuff like that, usually mid-season, so the kid, see if the kid can make some adjustments and give them what they want. And I was like, hey, what are you hearing? And he's just like, I mean, he's playing really well. A lot of the scouts are a little bit worried about him not being engaged between pitches. And I was like, wow, I've never heard that one before, especially from a scouting aspect on defense. I always heard about, hey, the scouts are always watching in a dugout. They want to see what type of teammate you are. What are you watching the game and all that stuff? But I've never really heard somebody say, especially about like a shortstop, like, hey, he's disengaged in between pitches. And I'm like, all right, so like, why is that like really important? And he's like, well, he's disengaged in an hour and a half, 2-hour game long high school season game, and he's 18, 17 years old. Like, how engaged is he going to be in the 160th game of the season when he's 30 years old? He's already been doing this 10 years, and he's got millions of dollars in his bank account. So like, they want those guys that are constantly locked into the game and looking for tendencies, looking for ways to take advantage, to score runs, to help their team out. From the college aspect, I feel like, and even the pros, like, they want to see guys that are engaged in between pitches, because what a lot of kids don't understand is when you transition from high school to college or the pros, is there is so much stuff that goes on pre-pitch.
That's what I was going to say. Once again, it's not the rah-rah. We're not talking about patting our glove and say, come on, Jesse, throw a strike. Way to get ahead.
Right. So, like, we're in high school, and before you get to all that, they just want to see that you're locked in. You're looking at the pitcher. You're looking at the catcher. You're checking out the dugout. You're looking in for signs. They want to see that you're moving. Like, and when you're in a position, you shouldn't be in the same spot for every batter, every pitch. Like, if you're really engaged, you're trying to look in for pitches. Off-speed pitches, you're taking a step to the left. Harder throwers, you're going to the right, whatever. And they're looking at that type of stuff, because when you get to the next level, they want to know that you have the brain capacity to think about something other than just fielding the ball and throwing it across. Like, they want to know that you're going to be able to get a sign from the catcher, the dugout, the pitcher, whoever it is. Like, I remember when I played at LSU, I was mind blown coming from a junior college to there of how much stuff we had to know before we even threw a pitch. It was like, all right, catch the ball, walk back, look at the shortstop. Shortstop was going to give you a bunch of different signs for looks. We had an inside move. We had, 3 different pickoff moves. We actually had different pickoff moves to first base. One where you'd kind of like come set really quick and pitch it. One where you like bounced your hands to mess up the timing of the runner. One where you kind of came set halfway. So like, we haven't even done anything except talk about how we're coming set and how many times we're going to look. Now we still got to get the sign, all right? If the catcher happens to want to do a pick where we have a timing pick where the catcher drops his glove and you just randomly turn and throw, like, there's so many different things.
By the way, guys that want to play college baseball, this is real. This is real.
Yeah, and it's pretty much everywhere.
It's not just, do I throw 90, okay, or do I hit 350 for my high school? Like, this is the real stuff. Everybody at that level did those things in high school.
And a lot of people say the game's more mental than it is physical. Well, here's examples of how it's more mental than physical. There's a lot.
And more preparedness is probably the best way to put it, right?
Correct.
As you started off our whole topic today.
Correct. You have to be a cerebral player just as well as a good physical player. But like I said, going back to that, like, and this isn't everywhere, but like, when we played, Skip Burtman wanted you to throw it on a specific inch of the plate.
That's that.
Like, if we went fastball out, he wanted it on 13th inch. If we went fastball with a little chop, he wanted it on the 17th inch. If we went fastball here, I know the plate's only 17 inches, but ours went out to 20. You were going to throw it 2 inches off the plate. Now, somehow he claimed he knew what inch you threw it on. I don't know if he really did or not, but he claimed he did.
Hey, when you're the head coach, nobody can tell you you're wrong on anything you're saying. It's
especially
your
when you're him.
Yeah, exactly.
Won a couple natties, so.
So that's the thing, you know. So it's like, our job, with what we're doing with Power is trying to help players now, assist them to, and guide them through the process to help them to be the best version and find the best fit, if they're fortunate enough to play at the next level, and then try to help prepare them, the environment, to get them ready for when they're, there, right? Because that's the biggest thing. The main reason freshmen don't play isn't because they're not talented enough. They're there because they're talented enough. It's because it's all of these things, and they're not prepared for the life, and they think they work hard now. It's so funny how every kid and parent says, "Oh, you work so hard," or "I'm just working so hard," and then every single winter, freshmen come home, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how was first semester?" Like, "Man, we do a lot." I'm like, "Oh, I thought you just worked so hard all the time now."
Yeah.
Right? And it's funny how hard work is a relative thing, and it starts to change once you start to see what it's really like. So that's where these things are what we're trying to do to prepare people. So the whole I didn't hit well today because our coach didn't throw us BP before the game. How many times have you heard that one?
A lot.
Right? But so okay, so you want us to call people, and everyone wants to play Division I baseball. So we're talking the top, 99 percentile of the country, right? So you want us to call, your dream school, and the reason why you didn't do well today is because coach didn't throw you BP before the game. How would that have went over if you didn't throw well at LSU, and after the game or the next day you went up to old Skip and said, "Well, Skip, you didn't stand there during my bullpen before I went into the game"? Well, how would that have went?
I don't think it would have went too well. I probably wouldn't have been able to talk to him again the rest of the year.
And that's
or he wouldn't have wanted to talk to me the rest of the year.
It's the reality of things. So,
well, it's the same thing. There's times when BP gets rained out in college, and you're not going to get to hit. I know a lot of facilities now, you go indoors and stuff, but hey, it's not your normal routine. Figure out a way to prepare yourself. Yeah. Figure it out.
Well, so that, yeah, and that's where I want to bring in, that's another being concerned with the right thing, right? Or being concerned with the wrong thing. And taking ownership over what we do, and having to players to evaluate yourself after the game, and before you look at the results, evaluate your performance that we're talking about. And underperformance is, did I prepare myself appropriately leading into today's game or our tournament for travel ball purposes? Did I prepare myself to be engaged on the right things, and engaged all of the time, and engaged to win during the game and during the entire game? And if you can say yes to all of those things, and then you look back and it's just like, well, I just didn't execute today, that's baseball.
Well, and let me ask you this, and you've seen it 1,000 times, so I already know the answer. Have you ever seen a kid get a scholarship that went 0 for 3 and didn't get a hit and didn't execute? And been offered a scholarship that day?
I have seen players go 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, and a college coach still be interested because he likes the body of work. And you know what? Not all strikeouts are bad. Strikeouts part of the game. You can have a quality. Mm-hmm. There's a quality strikeout. There really is. Whether you battled, did you put good swings on there? But yeah, no. You got to perform, right?
Yeah.
I can think of a specific.
But my point is, if that guy is coming prepared, worrying about the things he can control, he can still hit a ball to the outfield, and that coach can still get a really good run time on 100%. First base and confirm the resume. Correct. Oh, this guy runs a 3.9 down to first base. Well, I had him at a 4.2 on the turn, so he probably does run a 3.9. He didn't have a good day today. I need to come back and watch him again.
I'll take it. I've heard a college coach, corner outfield is the least recruitable thing in college baseball. I played outfield in college, okay, and there was a few times where a second baseman who had never played outfield before was starting in left field that day, just because he was swinging it well, okay? And I can tell you that I have had 2 different times I can remember specifically, routine fly ball to left field, And a left fielder one time was like keeping his feet chopping underneath the ball, caught it above his head, got behind the baseball, and there was 2 outs. This is for the third out of the inning. And a college coach came up to me and was like, man, if he catches a fly ball that well in that situation, he's going to do it every single time when he's got to throw a runner out at the plate or whatever, right? And then I've also seen the exact opposite where same situation and he glided to the ball and his feet were dragging, he caught it below his eyes, and they go, man, I just don't know, man, if that guy's going to do it. It wasn't important enough there for him, so why is it going to be important when the game matters is on the line to do it right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably more than what you're asking for, but that's what you're talking about, right? You know, to where like, can you go 0 for 3 and actually put off a really good impression? Yes. Can you go 0 for 30? No, you can't. So like you can't for that.
And you can go 3 for 3 and put off a bad impression.
A really
as well.
bad impression. Really bad. Let's go. All right. So we had a guy. This was years ago. He actually, I think he was like 6 for 7 in front of this one school, and this school loved him. And he was a hitter. And this guy's style of recruiting was, let me find hitters and I'll figure out the defense. So it was like the perfect. All the stars were aligning, and he was hitting in front of him. He said, man, I love him, but I am having such a hard time pulling the trigger on him because all I keep writing in my notes is Cadillac. And what he meant by Cadillac is that he never ran hard, ever on the field. He said, all I see him doing is Cadillac. He Cadillacs it on the field, off the field, between pitches. Yeah. I've seen him hit 3 doubles, and 2 of them I thought he had a chance to get in triples on, and he had no chance because he never even got close to top speed. And that was literally the reason why. And that school never pulled the trigger on that player. And that was why. And he went 6 for 7 with 3 doubles in front of him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got a guy that ended up playing at UCF that we had coached that solely pretty much recruited him, was solely pretty much recruited because of the way he ran on and off the field, because of the way he hustled, and those types of things. It was like the coach could not get, at the time it was Terry Rooney. You know, he loved guys that had energy, loved guys that play hard. And by the time the third pitch was thrown, if this guy was not on deck or had his helmet on, he was literally at the fence with his glove on a knee with his teammates' stuff on him. And as soon as that third out was made, boom, beelining it out to the field. And he's literally sitting out there waiting on the rest of his team. If you don't think that draws attention, if you're trying to find some way to draw attention to yourself in a good way, just get on and off the field fast. It's the most simple thing in the world.
I went to a high school game the other night, 2 extremely talented teams. A bunch of our players on the field, got to know both coaches. One of our former players went 3 for 4, the homer. You know, another one had like 4 hits. Another guy punched out 12 guys, right? Like it was an awesome, skillful game. Do you know what the one player I talked to after the game? I said, man, I am so refreshed and appreciate, and it was my favorite thing I saw all day today. It was the 9-hole hitter left fielder that was sprinting on and off the field as hard as he could from the first base dugout to left field. Yeah. Which, what do we hear all the time? Oh, we're in the first base dugout. I'm in left field. I've got the long run today. How many times have you heard that?
All the time.
Right? Parents, this is the stuff you don't hear that your kids say in the dugout. So remember all these thousands of dollars you're spending, okay? And your kid's whining because he's got to go to left field from the first base dugout instead of right field. Yep. Okay? Like put that in perspective, and these are the things you just don't know. Right? These things matter. But like that was the thing I left that game. And I told that kid who plays for us, which I was super proud of him, that, hey, that was the most refreshing thing I saw. I saw a phenomenal high school baseball game with tons of action. And the thing that stood out to me the most, because literally between innings, when I'm not as engaged as a fan because the game is between innings, 3 times I looked up because I felt like I saw a bullet coming, past the corner of my eye, and it was the same kid running as hard as he could to left field.
Yeah. Were you still in high school? Was I coaching against you when?
Yes, he coached against me. Yes,
yeah, it's been a long time, guys. I believe it would have been 06 the year when we were upset by Eastridge when we were like undefeated all
So,
year and lost at Winter Park when
You're
Daly
talking
Cox
about
was
you're
pitching.
talking about '07. '06 was you did
Okay.
coach against me in '06, which my final game was against you guys. Okay. '07 was when you was
Okay, so you weren't there,
Yep.
but
No.
I'm sure you remember a lot of those guys. But that team I will never forget because we had got them to buy in to getting on and off that field like no other. And I mean, basically we got our leaders to buy in, which then got the rest of the team to think it was cool. Because a lot of times kids don't think that that stuff's cool.
Man.
Like the stuff that's cool to them is like walking around slow, staring at my bat, drawing stuff in the sand. Like hustling
It's
has
easier
became a
for somebody-
non-cool thing.
It's
and
easier
it's
for somebody to
frustrating.
film you and put you on TikTok if you're going slow.
Correct, correct.
Weird. You're talking about a real simple but real leadership thing of like, hey, if you're one of the best players, then it's your fault. You have to take blame if this team doesn't do well because they are going to follow what the best players do.
Absolutely, 100%.
So if you think it's to be the cool guy or to go through the motions or to be the TikTok star, okay, then, okay, are you really helping the team win?
Yep.
Like,
No.
so
Yeah.
can you go into that because you've had a lot of high profile players, okay, and you've with the high profile players, that's our battle, right? It's not a coach's battle. It's not how they perform on the field. They're a high profile player for a reason because they perform and have performed at a high level. It's the can they get everyone else around them to also perform at a high level? Are they a Michael Jordan who makes the other players around them better? So you've seen both, right? You've seen the high profile player that makes people better, and you've seen the high profile player that is kind of a cancer in some ways, right? You know, without saying any names, like. Can you give us some examples of what the two extremes?